When people think of Lisa Simpson, they picture an 8-year-old girl with a saxophone, a book in her hand, and an innate sense of morality. She's always fighting for justice, for truth, for what's right. But look deeper, and you'll see not a perfect child, but a walking paradox who hides behind intellectual superiority while breaking the law more often than her brother Bart. Why? Because Lisa operates differently. She doesn't throw Molotov cocktails like a street anarchist or flee from the cops like Bart. She manipulates with intelligence, and that's far more dangerous. The good girl image as a cover. Lisa is a straight-A student. She speaks in complex sentences, loves science, quotes the Constitution, and defends animal rights. But that's just the perfect disguise behind which hides someone who lies to parents, teachers, and friends, interferes in political processes, engages in illegal activity for the greater good, spies, hacks, and forges documents. And because she's smart and moral, no one suspects a thing. Classic tactic. Justify illegal behavior with noble ideals. Morality as justification. Lisa often acts on the belief that if it's morally right, then breaking the rules is acceptable. So she hacks into systems to fix injustice, lies to protect someone's feelings, withholds information for the greater good. And she feels no guilt because in her mind, being right puts her above the law. Weaponizing trust. Teachers, parents, police, even the media. Everyone trusts Lisa, and she uses that trust to influence opinions, push her own agendas, bypass official procedures, gain access to restricted information. Example, all she has to say is, it's for a science project, and she's granted access to labs, libraries, archives, no questions asked. The real danger. The problem isn't just that Lisa breaks the law. The problem is how she does it. Secretly, methodically, with a sense of ideological purpose, and with absolute moral certainty. This isn't innocent mischief. This is structured behavior typical of moral absolutists. If Bart is raw chaos, Lisa is unchecked order, and that might be even scarier. First legal charges. Manipulation with intent to deceive, 1 year. Ethical violations in an academic setting, 6 months. Abuse of institutional trust, 2 years. Psychological pressure on minors, 1 year. Total, 4.5 years of potential prison time, just for the things she does regularly, and for the right reasons. Lisa may quote the Constitution in her sleep, but that doesn't stop her from regularly violating federal cybersecurity laws. She doesn't do it for money or for fun, she does it for justice. And in her mind, that somehow erases the crime. But here's the problem. Servers don't care why you're hacking them, and neither do the courts. They don't care if your intentions are noble. They care about the fact that you broke in. And Lisa? She's basically a child hacker who could already be flagged in an FBI database. Computer school hacks are not harmless. Lisa has repeatedly accessed the school's internal systems, changed grades, not her own, other students, falsified attendance records, disabled warning alerts, hacked into camera control systems. She usually does it under the banner of fixing injustice. Someone got a bad grade unfairly? Time to hack. The school bought the wrong textbooks? Better reprogram the system. The alert system scares students? Time to shut it down. It sounds noble, but it's unauthorized access to a government-controlled system. A hack is a hack, even if you're wearing a pink dress and playing the saxophone. Tampering with city infrastructure. Lisa's actions go far beyond school. She's interfered with meteorological stations, public transport databases, Springfield's power grid, municipal voting systems, government portals. That's critical infrastructure. We're no longer talking about harmless curiosity. We're talking about cyber intrusion into life-supporting systems. Devices she shouldn't even own. Lisa casually has access to personal home servers, homemade signal interception devices, programming languages most adults don't know, sensitive data that should be protected. She can outcode most professionals and uses her skills for good causes. But if Lisa were an adult, she'd already be facing a search warrant, arrest, full digital audit, a court-ordered tech ban. Ethical hacker? Or just a criminal? Lisa might like to think of herself as an ethical hacker, but real ethical hackers must report the vulnerabilities they find, never alter data, never interfere without permission, never maintain hidden access to systems. Lisa does the exact opposite. She decides what's fair and acts accordingly with no approval. Potential legal charges: unauthorized access to a digital system, 5 years. Tampering with official government data, 3 years. Using unlicensed hacking tools, and 2 years. Interfering with public infrastructure, 7 years. Violating data privacy laws, 2 years. Total, 19 years of potential prison time if anyone actually decided to prosecute. Lisa claims it's all for justice. But if everyone decided they knew what justice was and hacked accordingly, society would collapse. And while everyone's impressed that she fixed the server, No one seems to realize that Lisa Simpson may already be Springfield's smartest cybercriminal. Lisa Simpson loves the planet. She recycles, protests pollution, defends animals, and gives passionate speeches about climate change before anyone else even cared. Sounds admirable, right? But here's the thing. Some of her methods are blatantly illegal. Because when Lisa fights for the Earth, she doesn't stop to ask whether the law agrees. And often, she crosses the line from activism into direct action. And sometimes, straight into environmental crime. Civil disobedience or criminal sabotage. Let's break it down. Lisa has chained herself to construction equipment, broken onto restricted industrial sites, sabotaged machinery during protest actions, blocked roads and access points to eco-hostile zones, spray-painted public and private property with slogans. Yes, that's passionate. Yes, it's inspiring. But in legal terms, that's trespassing. Vandalism, obstruction of public infrastructure, destruction of property, potential felony charges for sabotage. In other words, she's not just protesting, she's disrupting animal liberation without permission. Lisa's activism for animal rights is legendary. She's freed lab animals, stopped fishing operations, released pigs from pens, and even disrupted pet shows. The message is clear. Animals deserve freedom, but the law says otherwise. And many of her actions could be considered animal theft, criminal mischief, breaking and entering, violation of agricultural regulations. If someone broke into a lab and released test rats in the real world, they wouldn't be praised as a hero. They'd be charged and prosecuted. Industrial anti-corporate crimes. Lisa has gone after factories, logging operations, chemical waste sites, mega marts and fast food chains. She's led boycotts, organized protests, and in some cases caused damage. Not just economically, but physically. She has tampered with equipment, tricked workers to abandon their posts, launched smear campaigns using doctored materials. That crosses into corporate sabotage, interference with labor, and even defamation. Lisa may be fighting evil corporations, but in the eyes of the law, she's just a very loud and very illegal problem. The line between passion and extremism. Lisa's biggest strength, her unwavering passion, is also her greatest danger. Because she believes in her cause so completely, she often justifies breaking the law, dismisses opposing opinions, ignores consequences in favor of the message, believes the end always justifies the means. And that's exactly how well-meaning extremists are born. Potential legal charges. Criminal trespassing, 1 year. Property destruction, 2 years. Interfering with lawful business operations, 3 years. Theft of animals, 2 years. Industrial sabotage, 5 years. Vandalism, 1 year. Obstructing public access, 1 year. Total, 15 years behind bars if the full list of eco-actions were prosecuted. Lisa doesn't see herself as dangerous. She sees herself as righteous, a voice for the voiceless, the conscience of Springfield. But the truth is, when you break this many laws, no matter how noble the goal, you're not just an activist, you're a criminal with a cause. Lisa Simpson, the straight-A student with a spotless reputation, is not someone you'd expect to be guilty of document fraud. But behind that honor roll certificate is a trail of forged forms, falsified reports, and completely made-up identities. Because when Lisa wants something, access, approval, or authority, and the system doesn't give it to her, she doesn't ask twice. She rewrites the system. Fake resumes and false titles. Lisa has posed as a college professor, a campaign manager, an adult consultant, a professional scientist, a public official. She has written up resumes, letters of recommendation for herself, and even fake degrees and credentials to gain access to high-level institutions and meetings. And yes, she's only 8 years old. In the real world, this is not clever roleplay. It's identity fraud, misrepresentation, and in some cases, forgery of government documents. School records and data tampering. Lisa has manipulated school databases, including changing her own attendance history, altering other students' grades both up and down, rewriting performance evaluations, creating fake test results. All of this to make things fair, prove a point, or just because she didn't agree with the way things were being run. But whether it's for justice or ego, tampering with educational records is a serious offense, often treated as academic fraud or even data falsification under state law. Helping teachers without consent. Lisa often creates lesson plans, rewrites official curricula, or submits paperwork on behalf of school staff without permission. She fills out grant applications, reports violations, and submits policy proposals, all under forged signatures or using fake administrator accounts. Even when her ideas are good, the methods are not. Unauthorized representation, forging signatures, using falsified access credentials, bypassing official channels. Lisa believes she's helping, But help that involves lying to institutions is still a crime. But she's just a kid, right? Here's the legal gray area. Lisa is a minor. She can't legally sign a contract or be fully prosecuted as an adult. But in terms of intent, she knows exactly what she's doing. She forges, fakes, and edits documents because she wants to manipulate outcomes, and does it with the confidence of someone who's been getting away with it for years. Potential legal charges: identity fraud, 5 years; forging educational records, 3 years; impersonating a public official, 4 years; submitting falsified documentation, 2 years; unauthorized access to official systems, 3 years. Total 17 years of potential prison time, and that's if no federal forms were involved. Lisa doesn't need to break into buildings or steal from banks. She knows how to rewrite reality on paper, and most of the time, people believe her. Because when a straight-A student hands you a perfectly formatted document, you rarely stop to wonder if it's fake. Lisa Simpson may be 8 years old, but her political instincts are razor sharp. She's organized campaigns, led protests, and even launched fundraising efforts with the efficiency of a seasoned activist. There's just one small problem. None of it is legal, because Lisa doesn't exactly follow the rules of nonprofit finance, government reporting, or tax regulation. In fact, she's been running what might qualify as a black market economy, one powered by lemonade stands, cookie sales, and donation jars, all with zero oversight. Where's the money going, Lisa? Lisa has raised money for environmental causes, political candidates, school reform movements, music programs, animal shelters, and even herself once or twice. But let's ask some basic legal questions. Does she have a registered organization? Does she report the income? Definitely not. Does she document donors, spending, or taxes? Not even close. Lisa's approach to fundraising is set up a table, print a few flyers, and start collecting cash. But by law, that's considered unlicensed fundraising. And depending on the scale, it can escalate to fraud or tax evasion. Illegal campaign financing. In her many political escapades, Lisa has accepted donations for unofficial candidates, funded rallies with untraceable money, purchased promotional materials with borrowed school funds, redirected grant money without approval. In the real world, these are campaign finance violations, misuse of public funds, unauthorized use of school property, operating as an unregistered political entity. And if she were 18, that would be multiple counts of election interference. The innocent side hustles, lemonade stands, bake sales, help save the whales, donation jars, sounds wholesome. Until you realize Lisa doesn't report earnings, doesn't have vendor permits, sells on public property without permission, handles large sums of cash without adult supervision. That's a violation of business and vending laws. And while people may turn a blind eye because she's a child, the activity itself would be illegal for anyone else. Financial genius or miniature grifter? Lisa understands economics. She manipulates markets. Remember when she crashed the town's currency? Predicts supply and demand, and handles spreadsheets better than most adults. But that knowledge comes with responsibility. And instead of following the law, she uses her intelligence to bend it, ignore it, or simply pretend it doesn't exist. Potential legal charges: unlicensed fundraising, 2 years. Tax evasion, even on a small scale, 3 years. Campaign finance violations, 4 years. Misappropriation of funds, 3 years. Unauthorized vending on public property, 1 year. Total, 13 years of potential prison time, and likely heavy fines, if she were old enough to prosecute. Lisa's intentions may be good, but in the eyes of the law, money is serious business, no matter how small the amounts or noble the cause. And right now, Lisa Simpson is running a full-blown illegal financial operation, one lemonade stand at a time. Lisa Simpson is a natural-born politician. She campaigns in school elections, meddles in city politics, and even tries to influence state-level policy. But beneath all this civic enthusiasm lies an uncomfortable truth. Lisa regularly violates election laws, more often than some convicted political operatives. Because Lisa isn't just an involved citizen. She's a manipulator, strategist, and spin doctor all in one. And if the authorities took her actions seriously, she wouldn't be wearing a sash. She'd be standing trial. Tampering with results and voter pressure. Lisa has interfered in vote counting, altered ballots, falsified voter registration lists, intimidated others before voting, applied moral pressure on both children and adults. While preaching fairness, Lisa often becomes the biggest threat to it. Instead of free will, we get guilt trips, shaming, manipulation, and behind-the-scenes engineering. Illegal campaigning. Lisa has run unapproved campaigns in school facilities, propaganda efforts without permission, used school and city resources to promote her cause, posted materials in restricted zones. In real politics, these would fall under administrative and criminal violations, like abuse of authority, unauthorized advertising, and even bribery. In Lisa's case, all of this gets brushed off with one excuse: I just want things to be right. From democracy to smart dictatorship. The most alarming part isn't the fake ballots or the hacked votes. It's that Lisa genuinely believes she knows better than everyone else. When election results don't go her way, she declares them invalid, demands recounts, pushes for rule changes, sets up her own alternative councils. This is authoritarianism in miniature, wrapped in a ribbon of idealism. She doesn't just disagree. She tries to override the will of others. Potential legal charges: election interference, 2 years. Document forgery, 3 years. Unauthorized campaigning, 1 year. Misuse of institutional resources, 2 years. Tampering with voting outcomes, 4 years. Total, up to 12 years in prison if her harmless activism were legally prosecuted. The ironic twist: Lisa fights so hard for fairness that she often destroys it herself. She truly believes she knows what's best and bends the law to force it on others. But if everyone who knows better starts rewriting elections, there won't be a democracy left to save. Lisa Simpson may look like a model student, but in reality, she's building a resume that would make a private investigator blush or a government surveillance agency raise an eyebrow. Because when Lisa wants to understand something, or more often someone, she doesn't just ask. She spies, and we're not talking innocent curiosity. We're talking about hidden cameras, wiretaps, data gathering, and full-blown surveillance operations. Unauthorized surveillance. Over the years, Lisa has planted listening devices in classrooms and homes, secretly recorded private conversations, monitored internet activity without consent, installed hidden cameras in public and private spaces, hacked into personal email and message accounts. Her excuse? I needed the truth. But in real life, this is called illegal eavesdropping, invasion of privacy, wiretapping without a warrant, violating communications laws. These aren't schoolyard pranks. They're criminal offenses, especially when the surveillance is systematic and intentional. Personal files and blackmail material. Lisa keeps extensive personal files on her classmates, teachers, town officials, and even family members. These files include behavioral patterns, psychological profiles, embarrassing secrets, evidence of past mistakes, photos and quotes taken out of context. She doesn't always use them, but she definitely stores them, just in case. That's not curiosity, and that's preemptive blackmail. And yes, keeping such files, especially with sensitive or private data, could count as unlawful data collection, defamation, threatening behavior, harassment. Lisa's logic: if they're doing wrong, I deserve to know. Lisa justifies her surveillance by convincing herself that knowledge is power and that she'll use it wisely. But this isn't how the legal system works. No child, no matter how smart or well-meaning, gets to run a secret intelligence agency in their bedroom. Her belief that she's above the rules because her intentions are pure is exactly how unchecked surveillance begins. And unchecked surveillance is what leads to serious breaches of civil rights. This isn't curiosity, it's control. Lisa doesn't spy to learn. She spies to stay in control. She wants leverage. She wants certainty. And she wants to be able to expose others if they cross her moral lines. That's not just illegal, that's dangerous. Potential legal charges: illegal surveillance, 3 years. Invasion of privacy, 2 years. Wiretapping without consent, 4 years. Harassment and psychological targeting, 2 years. Threats or implied blackmail, 3 years. Total, 14 years of potential prison time, and likely placement on watch lists, if this behavior occurred in the real world. Throughout the previous parts, we've uncovered how Lisa Simpson, despite her image as a model student, consistently breaks the law. She hacks systems, forges documents, spies on people, runs illegal campaigns, and interferes with democratic processes. And all of it, she claims, is for the greater good. But if we strip away the emotions and ignore her age for a moment, and judge her purely by the law, Lisa Simpson might be one of the most serious juvenile offenders in Springfield history. The full list of violations and sentences. Let's total everything from the earlier chapters. Moral manipulation, deceit, and abuse of trust, 4.5 years. Cyber hacking and system intrusion, 19 years. Environmental sabotage and activism-related crimes, 15 years. Forgery and identity fraud, 17 years. Illegal fundraising and financial misconduct, 13 years. Election tampering and unauthorized campaigning, 12 years. Surveillance and blackmail tactics, 14 years. Total potential sentence, 94.5 years in prison. And that's without accounting for fines, overlapping charges, probation, or civil penalties. But she's just a kid? Yes, Lisa's only 8 years old. In reality, she would likely face house arrest, counseling and behavioral evaluations, social service supervision, probation and community service. But if she were an adult, or if the severity of her actions led to legal escalation, she could absolutely be charged under adult criminal law. The ironic twist: Lisa isn't a villain. She doesn't seek destruction. She genuinely believes in justice, progress, science, reason, and saving the planet. But her belief in being right outweighs her respect for the rules. She's willing to break any law, as long as it feels justified. And that's not heroism, that's dangerous fanaticism. The final conclusion: Lisa Simpson is a reminder that even the noblest intentions can turn criminal when carried out without limits, accountability, or respect for the system. The real question isn't whether Lisa is a bad person. The real question is, who will stop her when she truly believes she knows what's best for everyone else?